In the desperate skies above Stalingrad and the frozen expanses of the Eastern Front, the Soviet Union fought not just with courage, but with machines born from necessity and refined through blood. The fighters that emerged from Soviet design bureaus during the Great Patriotic War were rugged, practical, and built to endure the unforgiving realities of industrial warfare. If this is your first time here, this is your destination for iconic fighter aircraft. Hit subscribe and join us as we explore history. The Lavochkin La-5 emerged in 1942 when ingenuity salvaged near failure. Semyon Lavochkin's team combined the troubled LaGG-3 airframe with the powerful Shvetsov ASH-82 radial engine, creating a fighter capable of matching German aircraft at low and medium altitudes where Eastern Front combat occurred. Production began mid-1942, with Moscow and Yaroslav factories converting incomplete LaGG-3s. Rugged and heavily armed with twin 20mm Shvak cannons, the La-5 became crucial at Stalingrad and Kursk. The definitive La-5 FN variant, with fuel-injected engine and lightened structure, completed full turns in 18 seconds, deadly in close combat. Moving on, the Lavochkin La-7 represented the Lavochkin La-5's final evolution, entering service in 1944 as one of the war's best Soviet fighters. It reached 684 kilometers per hour, 64 faster than the La-5 FN. With lightened structure, refined aerodynamics, and superb power-to-weight ratio, the La-7 ended the Messerschmitt Bf-109G's vertical maneuverability advantage. Combat records reveal its dominance, only 3 shot down in 1944, with 115 total war losses, half the Yak-3's number. But where did this lineage begin? The Lavochkin LaGG-1, first flown March 30, 1940, started it all. Built from laminated wood to conserve strategic materials, it featured a Klimov M105P engine producing 1,100 horsepower, but proved underpowered and sluggish. Despite its shortcomings, the LaGG-1 formed the foundation for subsequent developments. Next up, the Lavochkin LaGG-3 improved upon its predecessor with a Klimov M105PF engine, producing 1,239 horsepower and continued wooden construction. Despite performance degradation from prototype to production, later series achieved improved speed and maneuverability, serving extensively during the early war years before evolving into the formidable La-5.
The Lavochkin La-9 arrived too late for World War II combat, entering production in August 1946. Developed from the La-7, it featured revolutionary all-metal construction and 4 23mm cannons. During the Korean War, La-9s destroyed fuel tanks containing 5 million gallons at Incheon Harbor on June 17, 1953. Finally, the Lavochkin La-11 entered service in 1947 as a long-range escort fighter, essentially a La-9 with additional fuel tanks and 1 cannon removed. It represented the final evolution of Lavochkin's wartime piston engine lineage, serving primarily as an interceptor during the Korean War. Before we continue, if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. We're pushing toward 1,000 subscribers, and your support matters. The Mikoyan-Gurevich MiG-1 was an ambitious high-altitude interceptor introduced in 1940. Designed by Artem Mikoyan and Mikhail Gurevich to fly high and fast, the MiG-1 could reach 651 kilometers per hour at 7,000 meters. Production began before trials were complete, with approximately 100 aircraft delivered by year's end. However, the fighter proved difficult to handle, leading to the improved MiG-3. Next up, the Mikoyan-Gurevich MiG-3 entered service in 1941, excelling at high-altitude performance. Designed to intercept German bombers above 5,000 meters, it proved ineffective in the low-level dogfights dominating the Eastern Front after Operation Barbarossa began June 22, 1941. Soviet pilots preferred the Yak-1 and LaGG-3, and production ceased by October 1941 to prioritize the IL-2 ground attack aircraft. The Petlyakov Pe-3, a heavy fighter variant of the P-2 dive bomber, entered service in 1941 for air defense, reconnaissance, and escort missions. During the Battle of Moscow, the 40th High-Speed Bomber Regiment flew 365 sorties, dropping 218 tons of bombs. Though lacking armor for daylight attacks, retrofitted P-3s served throughout the war in reconnaissance roles. The Polikarpov I-15 Chika featured a distinctive gulled upper wing that gave it excellent maneuverability and earned it the nickname Chika, meaning gull. This Soviet biplane entered service in the mid-1930s and proved one of the best fighter biplanes during the Spanish Civil War. The nationalists mistakenly called it Curtiss, believing it American-designed. By 1941, early operations made clear the I-15 was obsolete. Moving on, the Polikarpov I-16 Rata was the stubby, groundbreaking monoplane that entered service in 1934. One of the world's first low-wing fighters with retractable landing gear, the I-16 represented a revolutionary leap. It saw intense combat in the Spanish Civil War, where Republicans called it Rata, and later fought in China and during the initial German invasion. Though innovative when introduced, by 1941, the I-16 was clearly outclassed by modern German designs. Next, the Polikarpov I-53 Chika represented the final refinement of the I-15 series, a paradoxical aircraft with retractable landing gear on an otherwise obsolete airframe. Born from a July 1937 meeting chaired by Stalin that concluded Italian Fiat CR-32 biplanes were superior to I-16 monoplanes, it misread combat experience. Despite being fundamentally obsolete, the I-53 proved remarkably effective through superior low-altitude maneuverability.
The Yakovlev Yak-1 served as the foundational design for the successful Soviet Yak fighter family. Entering service in 1940, it was fast, light, and easy to mass-produce. The Yak-1 became a workhorse of the Soviet Air Force, proving far more effective than the MiG-3 in low-altitude combat. Later versions received the M105PF engine from August 1942, arriving for the Battle of Stalingrad. Production of 8,734 aircraft continued until July 1944. Next up, the Yakovlev Yak-3 was a dramatically lightened version entering service in 1944, developed with smaller wings and a refined engine. Soviet pilots considered it highly maneuverable and deadly at low to medium altitudes. Its combination of light weight and adequate power made it a favorite among Soviet aces, achieving legendary status in the East. The Yakovlev Yak-7 originated as a two-seat trainer but converted into a highly capable single-seat fighter in 1942. Easy to build and maintain under tough field conditions, the Yak-7B served extensively on the Eastern Front before production facilities switched to the more advanced Yak-9. Finally, the Yakovlev Yak-9 became the most numerous Soviet fighter, with over 16,000 produced. Entering service in 1942, it first saw action at Stalingrad. The Yak-9 featured metal construction and versatile configurations, from long-range escort to anti-tank missions with 37mm and 45mm cannons. It served throughout the liberation of Soviet territory and into Germany, including with the French Normandy Niemen Regiment. These aircraft were not mere machines, they were steel and wood shaped by desperation, flown by men and women fighting for survival. Soviet fighters carried the burden of a nation's existence, determining whether it would endure or perish. Tell me which country you want me to cover next, and I'll dive right in. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.